Alrighty, what is going on, my fellow Marvel Rivals gamers? It's your boy, Coach Apache, and today we're doing a VOD review for a Cloak and Dagger, who also happens to be my girlfriend, which is pretty cool, right? We're gonna help her learn the game because she wants to get better. Because you know how they be. Ladies want to play with you, so you gotta teach them how to play the game. Right? So she's currently in bronze, as you probably know from the title. So bear with me on this one. But we are playing Cloak and Dagger. If you already know how this character works, you can skip ahead to the time stamp above. But if not, we'll go over it very quickly. So, Cloak and Dagger have two forms, obviously. But first off, we'll start with Dagger. Dagger has a heal orb that you throw on the ground, and it does heal it. Pretty simple. I'm not sure if it has a limited range. I'm pretty sure you could just chuck that on, and the first surface it hits, it will activate. Her shift is going to be her stance switch, which will switch her from Dagger to Cloak, which will give you a new set of abilities that we'll go into in a little bit. And then your E is going to be your, I'm just going to call it your window, your light veil, right? Whatever. What this ability does is when you throw it at teammates, when it hits teammates, it'll give them a bit of healing, but it'll also increase the amount of healing they receive. So a good use of this ability would be to throw the window and then proceed to heal, whether it be with your orb or with anything else. And then your ultimate ability is going to be you and Cloak are going to conform, I guess you could say. And you're going to just dash around. You have 4 dashes. Dash, 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 however you want to dash. I just understand within those dashes, you're going to have moments of invulnerability, you're going to have moments of vulnerability because you stand still for like half a second. Other than that, when it comes to Cloak's ability, Cloak's right click is going to be, I like to call it Shroud. Basically, you make yourself ethereal, make yourself invisible, untargetable, unable to take damage, and anybody who's also around you will get that same effect. But if they shoot or use an ability, it'll pull them out of it early, and I think it lasts for like a second. Same thing with the shift's going to be the same thing, just shifting stances. And then the veil is going to be a shadow veil this time, or as it's called in the game, I know this one for a fact, Terror Cape. And what it does the opposite of increasing heals. It actually increases the damage that enemies take. So basically, you heal with Dagger, do damage with Cloak. Dagger throws little daggers. Cloak has a damage beam, kind of similar to Scarlet Witch. So the premise of this character is to choose between the two when you need. I would say one last thing to also bring up to people if you don't know. When you swap between Dagger to Cloak, it actually reloads your ammo. So a lot of times when you're getting low on the Dagger, what I like to do personally is I like to switch to the Cloak, throw my abilities out, right, and then go back to the Dagger. So it's kind of like I'm getting a reload, but I'm also doing an instance of damage, right? Switch, throw Veil, go back. With that being said, let's get into the VOD review. So as we're rolling out here, I would definitely make sure you're letting your tanks go first, just so they can lead the way. So make sure we're not just wasting abilities for no reason. I'm okay with you using your primary fire to just, a default heal, but like let's not just use bubbles for no reason, especially when we've noticed that there's a tank in our backline, diving our backline. Just, I would say keep it for you just in case you get jumped on. So your daggers are going to do a lot less damage than your Cloak form. So in this scenario here, what I would do is, if anything, I would switch to Cloak to help break the wall. Depending on how far your team wants to go, you could even use your Shroud ability, which also allows you to fly, by the way. I forgot to say that. Just to get on top of here so that you can continue healing from high ground, and if push comes to shove, you can always just drop back down. But yeah. Right now would be a good opportunity, I'd say, to use your orb to keep your tanks alive. Oh, you did. You're dripping. So with your Venom being down, what I would say is just make sure you're playing safe. You know you're down a tank. He will get back fast. We are up 1 player, though. So this next fight should be in our favor. Here we are. Team's walking in. Got picks here. But you see how like your team is full health for such a long time? Like, let's go back a little bit and let's just talk about opportunities, right? So if we go back, right? We just look at it from a top-down point of view. At this time, your team is full health. So why not switch to the cloak, right? It is look to throw a shadow veil. Look, boom, boom, boom. Everybody's full health, right? And your shark's healing people as well. This could be a good time to like throw a veil on a tank, or like right now, just throw it through here. Throw it on the Psylocke who might look to dive you. Anything, right? Like let's make sure we're getting use of both of our forms. And then right here, you're a little too close to the action, especially since you're down mid, and that's the issue with running down mid. If you're gonna do it, you kind of gotta do it fast. So I would say make sure you definitely throw that orb on yourself. But I would hug this wall. Like if you know somebody's above you here, I'd hug the wall. Like if you think about it, when we're coming down main, hugging the right side is risky because you're exposed to this, you're exposed to this, you're exposed to anybody here, you're exposed to this, you're exposed to this, right? Comparatively to where if you hug the wall, you're kind of limiting the angles that can see you. You took it from being all those angles to 1, 2, right? You're still exposed to quite a lot, but you're exposed to a lot less. So if you are going to come down mid, I would always suggest to hug this left wall just so that you're a little bit more protected from the other angles. And right here, obviously look at your positioning in comparison to everybody else. You're in front of all your tanks. You should be closer to the Hela. You almost have ult here. Nice ult pop. So I would stay in here, right? So yeah, your team's back there. Your team's having a little bit of a mishap here. But I would say just stay up here. Because imagine you're here, right? You're in your ult. Your ult's going to be healing you. You could switch the damage for him. And you could just fight the rocket. Right now, you could be in here with your shark fighting as well. And I get the premise of trying to help your team. But like, we just ulted. And only 2 people are fighting in that ult. You know, like, and then we peel. We get a pick on the objective. And we get a pick back there. So we're up 2. But we're just also so spread out. Right? So it's like, we got a pick. But for that pick, we gave so much space. So was that pick even worth it? Another example I would give is like understanding that your light veil increases the amount of healing you give is another great reason why you should be switching to your cloak more. Because let's say you're keeping him pretty topped up, but let's say you switch to cloak and then you throw your damage ability, right? And then he gets the half. You come back, right? He'll probably have shield to keep himself up. But then right before that shield ends, then now you throw light veil and then you just heal him all the way back up, right? So it's like that veil is to basically also make up for your swapping as well. I threw it into a wall and for it. And then right here, you got to either choose to be in or choose to be out. By you going in and out, you're constantly denying yourself information because you can't see, you can't see, you can't see, you can't see. As well as every time you walk through this wall, you actually get slowed. So your team's all about to get eliminated. So I'll just back up here. I'd call them for them to back up as well. Team's resetting real quick. You almost have ult. So right here, your best bet would have been to switch to cloak and invis. We got 1 minute left. Probably 1 to 2 fights max, depending how it goes. Since these fights have been extremely slow, I'm gonna say it'll probably be the last fight here. By the time you get to the objective, you'll probably have 30 seconds left. We're walking up here right here. You're just farming up your ult. This is good. You have 95%. So now, basically, you're just gonna engage with your ult, right? 99, 100, right? Oh, 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 go in, oh, go in, oh. So right there, I would have much preferred you to just go in with your ult, right? Stay on the objective, which is gonna, instead of like dashing back, I would have liked if you would have like dash, 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 right? And then got to the objective, switch to cloak, and go back. We're actually going to go back here and see when you got ult, what kind of ults they had up. I mean, they probably had ults too, but let's just see. Let's just see. So you had ult for a little bit. So they're 90. Build an ult, right? At this point, yeah, they have ults, right? But so right here, what I would do is I'd pop ult now, right? The Groot's probably the Groot still might pop ult in response, but like I don't think that really matters. Like he's gonna do it anyways. So when I pop it already, you know, like right here, like right now, just imagine you pop ult, boom, 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 boom. He's so far back too, like that. Your ult would just allow your team to walk in, and if he Groot ults, he Groot ults. It's gonna happen, right? But I think if you can get back here, not only are you gonna contest the point, switch the damage for him, and if they don't all peel for you and play it correctly, you'll probably get an elimination. Like I think that's one thing that you haven't experienced enough yet is just ulting and coming out in cloak form, just because you actually do a ton of damage. And actually, you're very survivable. Right here, you get grabbed. Luckily, you react fast enough to pop your ult, which I think this will kind of heal your teams a little bit. Right, so your team's fine. Your shark grabbed it. Unfortunately, your shark, who was me, didn't really realize that you ulted up mid. So I could have just pulled the team. I could have just pulled the team into your ult, but I was just worried about getting them towards the objective. So unfortunate. But yeah, like this whole time you could have probably been on the objective fighting instead of trying to catch up. That's gonna be the last fight. That's unfortunate. So, with that being said, it's note time, chat. It is note time. Alrighty. Alright, so the notes for today, right? Number one is going to be swapping to cloak more. Not only is this going to reload your weapon, right? It's going to give you opportunities to use your other abilities like your shroud, your shadow veil, whatever, right? But it's just going to allow you to get more comfortable with the character. I feel like a lot of people, they get stuck on the dagger form and they really don't swap over. And you're missing a lot of the character's value. So yeah, make sure we're swapping more. Even if it's not the right thing to do at the moment, I would prefer you swap more to start to learn when it is good to swap and not to swap. Another tip I would have is if you know that before you take the fight, if you're not really going to take damage, I like to actually start on cloak so that I can start the fight with a like shadow veil and then go into my dagger form. It's really going to depend on what you're playing against, right? So, which will dictate if you can do that or not. But that's also another option too. You don't always have to start the fight and then switch to cloak. You could start on cloak and then switch to dagger, right? And then number two is going to be more proactive with ults. I really just want you to get used to popping ults early and often, especially in moments where you have to. But as you play the game, you'll start to realize what support ults are more defensive and what are more proactive. Things like Luna Snow, Invisible Woman, who else? Cloak and Dagger sometimes can be very defensive, but some are obviously weaker than others, right? Other ones that are more reactive, or more proactive, I should say, are going to be like Loki's ult, Jeff the Shark, right? These are ults that you want to think ahead of time and not wait till a condition is presented to pop it, because if you do that, you're usually going to be late or just not get as much value. So with Cloak and Dagger, you can be defensive with it, but it's also an ult that's actually really good proactively as well, to take space, to win fights, things like that. So just make sure when you get it, don't wait too long to use it. Just look for the first good moment to use it and pop it. And then eventually, as you get better at the game, you'll start to get a better understanding of when's the right time to use it, so that you know when to react to certain scenarios. And then number three is going to be don't be afraid to playmake. This is also going to play off the tip before when it comes to your ult. There's a lot of times, and like I said, you haven't done it enough, so you're not comfortable, or you probably don't have the understanding yet. But like when you pop your ult as Cloak and Dagger, right, that healing applies to you as well, and it's actually a good bit of healing. So if you were to dash right into the enemy, which is going to allow your team to follow you as well, what you could do is you could start in cloak form so that you can pop your ult, because your ult's going to heal, so you don't have to worry about healing. So when you finish your ult animation, you'll already be in cloak form, and then you could just like shadow veil somebody and then fight them. Yeah, will there be times where it'll be good to heal and be in your ult? Sure, but that's probably like very rare scenarios. It's probably unanimously better to just be in your cloak form so that you can be more impactful damage wise and in that fight. Because if the let's say you go all the way to their backline with your ult and your team's pressing the front line just they usually just wouldn't just they won't just turn around. They'll try to defend the front line. But you'll be in the enemy backline, and if they don't have anything that can burst you down immediately, you're gonna be a problem back there. And you could probably get a pick and then get out. And then bang. Not only did you ult to enable your team to fight without taking a lot of damage, but now you got a pick. So this all comes down to just like being more proactive and then not being afraid to use cloak, right? Other than that, um, hey, you know how to use the dagger abilities. But with that being said, if anybody else is interested in getting coaching or following along on this little journey of me coaching my girlfriend, make sure you subscribe, man, to keep up to date with me and my post. And then for anybody else who's looking to get coached, I do free coaching. All you got to do is use the link in my description so that you can enter into my Discord, where I have a VOD review submission channel where you're able to submit a VOD request, and we can get you on the path, on the way to getting better at our favorite game, Marvel Rivals. Alrighty, have a great morning, afternoon, night, wherever you may be. It's Coach Apache, God bless, and I will see you in the next one, God willing. Take care, everybody.